The following is a presentation of Tuning into Sci-Fi TV, the viewer's guide to genre television.
Okay, well, welcome everybody to our second of these TIST Live events, and we're happy to see some folks here already, and hopefully we'll get some more folks to join. This is a little more informal than our normal show. We're just going to talk, each of us is going to talk about one thing. You all are invited to put comments and questions in the chat. We'll kind of open up at the end to sort of any other additional comments or thoughts. Brent, are we going to try to replay the promo, or are you going to add that in post?
I'm fine. I'll add that in post. Not a problem.
Okay. So, because I'm the host, I get to go first with topics, and I put a link in our chat to the Bondsman trailer, which I had not heard about this show, this movie, anything about this series until yesterday. And Kevin Bacon showed up on Good Morning Football, actually, talking about football, which I didn't pay attention to at all, but they showed just about 10 seconds of this trailer. So I knew the premise, which is he's a bondsman, he's dead, and he needs to hunt demons. The trailer actually filled in a lot more blanks for me as well. And I'm excited about this. It looked actually really interesting. I, of course, am thinking about, Kevin Bacon and Tremors, and hoping that it definitely has some of that humor in it a little bit. So this actually looked really fun. It also made me think a lot about Wynonna Earp because of the whole demon hunting aspect. So I'm curious what other folks think about it. If you're interested, intrigued, it starts today on Amazon Prime. And probably after we get off of this call, I'm probably going to go start watching it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start watching it too. I totally agree with you. It looks really cool. There have been shows like this in the past. This is not breaking new ground. We've had shows where a number of TV shows we've talked about on this podcast in the past years, where somebody is comes back from hell and is charged with returning the demons. So we've had that kind of premise, but it's Kevin Bacon. It looks really well done. So I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, I found out about it from Carol Malcolm, the Urban Fantasy track director. I was talking to her today, starting to plan some DragonCon stuff, and we were going over the list of shows that we cover, and she mentioned this one, and I'm like, huh? I hadn't heard anything about it until today. So I went digging for the trailer, and yeah, it's 8 episodes. They're all already available. They all dropped today. They're about 35 minutes each, so it's pretty brisk timing wise, but yeah, it certainly does look interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to starting it soon too.
Yeah, it just surprised me because Kevin Bacon is a pretty well-known person. This seemed very under the radar from a promotional aspect.
Yeah.
The other person who I noticed in the trailer is the actress who plays his mother, who's just been in a ton of things. I don't know her name, but I immediately recognized her and her voice, and she's always really funny and kind of wonky in things. So it actually, I think, hopefully it's going to have a fun tone, and if it's only 8 episodes, so that's appealing in and of itself.
Yeah. We've got Beth Grant playing his mother, maybe? Is that her name?
That might be her name.
That might be her name. So I have a question for Nico, I agree with you. Yeah, Kevin Bacon really gives it a notch up for me too. But Barcroft and Kevin and Wendy both applauded this. What, reciting a category in Jeopardy? I don't understand the reference. What's going on there? Chat.
He made an appearance on Jeopardy. He probably was doing a clue. Like they'll cut to a little snippet of video and someone will give a clue.
Oh, very cool. He just did every question in the category. I got you. I've seen that before. Excellent. You first heard of it on Jeopardy. So on Jeopardy, they talked about the show. But yeah, you're right. It went under the radar because normally we hear about we get press releases, we get articles about shows that are coming. Did we just all forget? Did we report on it and completely forget about it? Or did it just not appear on our
It's
radar.
under the radar. I mean, I'm for me, it's interesting that between Jeopardy and being on, Good Morning Football or whatever else, that apparently they're doing more of the press side of it to promote it rather than putting the trailers in more visible places. Maybe Amazon decided it wasn't worth a lot of promotion. I don't know.
All you have to
But
do,
yeah,
like we proved in the chat, just say Kevin Bacon's in it. People will watch it just to see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be he has enough people on his social media that they were
maybe
like,
that's where
we
it's
don't
from."
we don't need promos. It's
We
that
don't
whole
need no
6
stinking promos.
degrees. 6 degrees of Kevin will get us an audience. We need to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that the trailer that we posted here, it's a Red Band trailer. So yes, you got a ton of swearing and violence in the trailer.
Yeah.
So obviously being Amazon.
It also made me think of The Boys. But I'm assuming a lot of audience will cross over from The Boys to this show, given violence, weirdness.
And it looks like one of the
content.
actors from The Boys is in this too, if I recognized a face.
Oh, I didn't
So.
see.
We'll see.
Who's the showrunner?
But yeah, intrigued.
Do we know who the showrunner is?
I don't.
I'm looking through IMDb right
no,
now.
I didn't look up the details yet.
We got direction. Nobody I recognize. Writing. Nobody I recognize. But Kevin Bacon is an executive producer, so is Jason Blum.
Oh,
So, I don't know. But that's cool.
and I'll bet he plays in a band at some point.
Oh, he does. We saw it in the trailer. There's a scene where he's playing.
I thought we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get some Bacon Brothers musical content too.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted.
That was
go
the
ahead.
one I wanted to talk about. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the Star Trek Strange New Worlds trailer that finally came out. We saw something a couple of months back, I think, which was a little snippet of a scene at the beginning of the first episode. And, I got a little upset because it kind of spoiled other clips later on, kind of spoiled that maybe there was no real jeopardy for the people that we had the cliffhanger for. This trailer just blows that out of the water. It's like, yeah, they're all fine. Don't worry about it. They're all coming back. Because this trailer showed them doing all sorts of crazy things. And I will admit, while I'm super excited, because this is my favorite Star Trek Online, Star Trek series on the air right now, I think I even put it a notch above Lower Decks when Lower Decks was on. But I'm loving it, and I want to see it come back. It's been a while. And I am a little nervous, though. I'm a little nervous. I think for the same reason you guys are super excited in the Discord chat about it, I'm nervous because I don't want them to do so many of these kind of, funky episodes. These things where they do a musical here or they do some kind of a fantasy here or an alternate universe here. I just want, Star Trek. I want adventure and I want, exploring strange new worlds and stuff. And I'm hoping we're going to get a lot of that too, and that this is just a couple of cool, funky episodes that we have highlighted in this trailer. But they are fun to see. It's just, I don't know about you guys, but it just makes me a little like, are you just going to go with the shtick and not actually do the sci-fi? Please do good old Trek for me. But I love the show.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like, and we've talked about this many times with trailers. Like you said, they're going for some of the sizzle, the thing that might get maybe not regular fans to go, oh, that looks interesting, rather than traditional sci-fi. So, like you said, I'm also, while I think they'll be very interesting, hope that's just a couple of, shall we say, off-the-wall episodes to go with a lot of traditional Trek. But at least, and this was a teaser. This was only the teaser, 1 minute long, so we're still probably going to get a, quote, trailer. And maybe that one will have more of the traditional space-based stuff.
I'm hoping that this was a lot of the sizzle, and because they don't want to show us the stake of some interesting overarching plot that's too complicated to introduce in a trailer.
Yeah.
Have we heard before, they didn't give a date yet, but they did say summer. Did we know it was summer or just 2025 for the premiere?
It's summer of this year, I think. I think that's what the
Yeah.
trailer said at the end, right? Didn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
just wondering, they
Yep.
didn't say, did we know that earlier is what I was kind of
No,
wondering. Or was
no. Even just like a week ago, there was speculation. There was a leak, supposed quote unquote leak, from some broadcaster in Europe that said that they would be able to start seeing it in like May or June or something, and everybody freaked out. And then that broadcaster corrected themselves, said, no, it's going to be in the summer. Don't worry.
No.
No.
Okay, good. All right. Well, at least it's confirmed for summertime, you know.
I was watching a cool analysis.
Good thing.
Yeah, go ahead. I was watching a cool analysis from Trek Culture. I don't know if you guys have ever viewed Trek Culture on YouTube, but they had a really cool analysis of the trailer. And one scene that I missed totally was, I mean, I saw the scene where Chapel and Spock are in bed together and they wake up and have loving, happy expressions and exchanges of words. And I kind of smiled and I said, oh, that's kind of cool. But then they noticed, of course, that Chapel had an engagement ring on. And they're like, their speculation at that point was, this is part of one of those fantasy episodes. This isn't a fantasy world. This isn't real. Mostly because of the engagement ring, because we know that Spock is only taking a break from his betrothed, as well as he was very emotional in that scene. So they're thinking, okay, this is just fantasy. So that was cool to see. I missed that completely, but they're like, I think that this trailer is really pretty much only focusing on those kind of gimmicky episodes. I'm trying to send you guys a link in the chat as well to it. Yeah, this is it. Oh, and also, they speculated that one of the people we see in there is Trelane from Star Trek, the original series, that he's making an appearance, and that they're going to canonize this guy in the thumbnail in the chat on the left. They're saying that he's Trelane because he looks a lot like him, and he's snapping his fingers. And they're going to canonize the fact that Trelane is a Q, a member of the Q continuum, because that had been pushed forward in the novels, the Star Trek novels, but it had never been really like canonized per se. But they think that Strange New Worlds is going to canonize it.
Interesting. I'm still sitting here wanting to do, and all I have to do is commit to it, is a rewatch of TOS. I mean, I kind of had that sitting in my, I should do that at some point, especially with Strange New Worlds coming. With at least a timeline now, summer, whatever that might be, June, likely June. But yeah, seeing him and thinking back to TOS stuff. Interesting.
So I don't know what channel it is. It's one of the free channels I get. It's not Comet, but it's something like that. Basically, they have TOS, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager on like every night. So I've actually watched a couple TOSs recently. I definitely, I give you a lot of credit if you're going to do a marathon of that. Not because it's bad or anything, but it's just really low on my radar to go back and do a watch of that. Oh, Heroes and Icons. Thank you, Chris. That is the channel. Appreciate that.
Yeah, there's some good channels like that are, get some content. Yeah, it's just funny. Every time I see, whether it's in a guide, if I'm flipping through a guide or something and I see TOS episode, it brings back the memories. It's one of those things that makes me just want to, yeah, there you go.
Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. I've got the box set,
kinda,
physical media.
And Chris said the Trelane episode just aired this week.
Oh, cool.
See, I've watched those things so many times. I don't know. It's been forever since I've seen them in more than just a few minutes of one episode here or there. That's why it kind of has been bubbling around in the back of my rewatch
just
list.
Thinking about it makes me very nostalgic for childhood. So I'm going to do a little aside story, because when I was a kid, the reruns of Star Trek were on Saturday nights at like 7:00. That's also when Lawrence Welk was on, which was one of my parents' favorite TV shows. So I never got to watch TOS unless my parents were going out for the evening for something. So it was a super special Saturday because they were going out somewhere, which meant I got to eat a TV dinner and I got to watch Star Trek.
Very
See,
special.
for me, it was on at like 4 p.m. on weekdays. So it was my after school thing for me.
Yeah, me too.
Forever.
Yeah.
Star Trek TOS, Gilligan's Island, Wild Wild West. Those are all on the UHF channel in my area.
Loved.
So, lots and lots of those over and over.
Did you guys hear? I mean, we're going off on a tangent, but Wild Wild West.
Yep.
Ronald D. Moore, did you hear about that?
Yeah.
How he really wanted to bring back Wild Wild West, and he didn't have the opportunity, and now he doesn't work with a studio that owns the rights, but he really wants to bring it back someday. Ron D. Moore, the guy from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, BSG.
Yeah.
No, I did not know that. I loved that show.
He loves it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And welcome, Fandom Girl, to the chat.
Yeah,
Yes,
welcome.
We're talking about Star Trek, the original series, a little bit.
I think many of you might know that Katie Sackhoff has a podcast, a video cast she's doing.
That's where he said it. Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been catching he's been on there a couple of times. I actually prefer, she's got like a clips channel along with the full, hour and a half.
I'm right there with you, Kevin.
Yeah, well, I'd love to. I don't have much, but it's been great hearing Ronald D. Moore talking about some of and BSG, and it's getting me like, ooh, BSG, that'd be worth a rewatch too,
Yeah, I'd be more inclined to rewatch that than
I'm watching that with a funny little gal, maybe? I don't know. One of the reactors is doing BSG, and I'm watching with them.
Oh, let me know if you come across. It's not funny little gal, because I'm watching her stuff and it's not on there.
Okay, then it's the other one I really like. So yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah, please.
I wanted to say one more thing about the Star Trek trailer, about the Trek culture analysis that I thought was hilarious. Now, I think we're probably all on the same page that this trailer kind of focused on 1 or 2 episodes, and not the entire season. But apparently in whatever episodes it focused on, Kirk is present. And so the Trek culture analysis was making fun and poking fun at Kirk and saying, Kirk, are you ever on your own ship? Why are you here all the time? You're not on the Enterprise crew. Why are you here constantly? So I thought that was hilarious.
And it's interesting too with Fandom Girl's comment about watching more DS9 than original TNG. I love the conversations about what was your Star Trek, whatever age you might have been, or whatever access, whether it was after school or on the weekends or a UHF channel or just streaming. Everybody's got the one that was theirs, and those stories, like Wendy said, with it being up against that, because mine, well, TOS is definitely the one that got me hooked on genre.
Yeah.
TNG was in syndication at 7 p.m. on Saturdays in the 80s in my area.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was at the age where I was spending most Saturday nights out, but that was usually the way we'd start the evening, is whatever group of guys or gals, there were some women that were Star Trek fans too, we would first meet at someone's place to watch that episode, so that when we went out, if we needed something to talk about, the episode was the content. It was just so many great memories that same way. That was just a great way to start your Saturday night for us.
Yeah, Next Gen definitely. That was. I mean, I love the original series, but Next Gen, I was a young adult at that point, so it really just struck a different kind of a chord with me. And I love Patrick Stewart. I've talked about that many, many times. I love Picard. Chris had a similar experience to you, Kevin, in terms of recording it on VHS.
Yeah, we had. Yep, and when we, for some reason, had an earlier commitment on Saturday, that was the age of the VHS, and I had it on tapes. Definitely was recording that. Same thing, that was around the time I was recording episodes of Moonlighting and some of the sitcoms, the NBC sitcoms on Thursdays.
Yeah,
that was the way to make
Seinfeld.
Hey, Nico.
Whoa, when you had a bad tape or it didn't record.
Oh, I hated
it. Was
that.
So disappointing.
I wanted to respond to something Nico said. Nico, you you talked about how the Will Smith version is an abomination. You will enjoy that Ronald D. Moore clip on Katie Sackhoff's podcast then, when he talks about Wild Wild West, because he introduces it by saying the original series, not that I think he even used the word like abomination, not that abomination they did in the movie. He said something like that. So you get a kick out of that. He doesn't like it either. He's not a fan.
Yes, and Phantom Girl, while the VHS was the DVR of the 90s, yeah, also mid-80s for this guy. Let me tell you, that's when I first was getting one set up and working. So going back a ways.
Mid to late 80s, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kevin, I think we're done talking about Strange New Worlds promo and Star Trek. So what would you like to talk about?
Well, I would like to, since we don't tend to do it on our podcast, I figured maybe here in the video I could do a little bit of it. I'd like to have a mini rant and just say, WTF Daredevil. Are they trying to put us to sleep? I mean, we're 2/3 into the season and it's awful.
They had to make that a double header because it wasn't horrible. The bank robbery episode, the bank robbery episode was way better than the courtroom one-off thing. For me, at least, it was entertaining, but it was also like, this is a big waste of time. And then the lead up to the most recent episode, I agree. I was like, I've seen all this before. This is like so much retreading character stuff again that I've very much been underwhelmed with Daredevil.
Sorry, go ahead, Brent.
Well, you continue your thought. I had a different thought. Go ahead.
And we've talked about many times shows, and certainly Netflix shows, when it's a newer show and they're launching it, they wander a bit and go too slow. And for a lot of us, in terms of introducing a character and backstory, we already know this character. Why do we need all of this time on, the fact he's going to go back to being? I mean, my goodness, there is so much wasted space in all these eps.
Yeah, I was going to say I was just going to comment on the bank robbery episode real quick. I really enjoyed it too, but it really was a standalone episode. You could have taken that out of the series and nothing would have happened. You wouldn't have noticed it wasn't there. So I'm pretty convinced it was added late or after the fact by Disney or Marvel, ahead of whoever's above the producers of the show, saying we need to put a tie-in to the MCU. We're going to want to, since you're in New York, we're going to do a tie-in with Ms. Marvel. And so here's how we're going to do it. And they just had to do a standalone episode, which is probably why they did a doubleheader on that one. They knew that one didn't contribute to the story at all. So they had to do the second one to show you that the story was still progressing. Just my theory.
Yeah. And that episode, as some folks are mentioning in the comics, there's parts to enjoy it. But the other episodes too, same way. There's like 15 minutes out of the 45 that's interesting in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. It's always the last few minutes.
Actors.
It's always the end too.
Well, and they've turned it, but geez, I mean, there's good actors in this show, man. And it makes me wonder. I know they quote scrapped some stuff and restarted it. Holy crap! If the other stuff was worse than this,
I know. I'm convinced.
More courtroom. I think it was more
probably
that court case.
I'm convinced we aren't going to see the Punisher again. I'm convinced that was his one and only appearance this season, just to remind us. Just to remind us that he was still in this universe, that he's carrying along.
I hope we get more.
I just can't see where he'll come back in.
Maybe he's got to help Matt. I mean, let's give us something.
I was assuming that the fake Punishers were going to do something that he would want to come back and speak out against or something. Because Kevin, the other thing, going back to, what was this before they quote fixed it, made it better. We have this, what's his name? White Tiger Jaguar. I don't know what the character's name was that just got killed. It's like he's supposed to be a big deal, but he's kind of, in and out and gone. Thank you, Chris. It's White Tiger. Unless it was to introduce his niece becoming the next one, because that certainly seems to be something they're hinting at. But for me, the parts that have been interesting haven't even been the Matt Murdock parts. I've actually probably been more interested in like what's going on with Fisk and his people.
Mhm.
Every time something goes wrong with City Hall, because those are like dynamic character moments happening. I
Mhm.
don't care at all about, keeping the boyfriend caged up, or that he just, probably killed him or whatever he did to him, beat him up to an inch of his life. And it was all of this buildup for them to go back to these characters that we knew. So that's not a great payoff for me, because it's like we've been here before.
Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. This is not a pace to use for a case where we already know the characters. So it's just disappointing, I guess. I really had kind of hoped this one would, be some fun to see this character, and then they threw the Foggy stuff at us first, and we had to kind of wind our way into the impact on Matt. I'm like, yeah, it's just disappointing more than anything else.
Well,
Fandom,
they have 2 episodes left.
yeah. Hopefully, like you said, I would really like to see Punisher back, but I just don't see how he can come back, except maybe to deal with the fake Punishers. But they were a flash in a pan. We've never seen a reference to them again, except for when they killed White Tiger. Fandom Girl had a question to Wendy and I about Harley Quinn, and whether or not what we thought of season 5, and if they should do a season 6 or just do an end movie. I haven't seen the final episode yet. Episode 10 is sitting there waiting for me. I want to watch it. I'm probably going to watch it this evening or very soon, and then I'll know for sure. But I am going to default to, I would love there to be a many new seasons of the show, because I'm not a big fan necessarily of the continuing story in the show. I just love the one-offs, how they can be completely wacky sometimes, and just get Harley and Ivy and the other regulars together and just have a lot of funny gags and jokes. I'd be happy. I don't necessarily need an ongoing story arc or anything like that. So, but I'll know for sure after I see the final episode there, episode 10.
So I've seen the finale. I loved it. I'll even say heartwarming, which is not a word I would use often to describe Harley Quinn. But I definitely want to see more of it. My one dig on this season was, Bruce Wayne, the Bruce Wayne shtick. It was annoying. It wasn't funny. I thought it could have been a little bit funnier, him being such a sad sap about, Lena Luthor. My other ding is I want more Bane, because I just think Bane is absolutely hilarious.
Amazing.
And we had a little bit more of that in the, I think, prior seasons, and a little bit less of the Shark family. That kind of got old. But, we have Frankette. I think that there's a lot more story content that I would be happy to watch. And like Brent said, it could just be episode of the week. It doesn't have to be, save the world, stop the disaster type stuff. But it is fun to see that stuff. And I liked seeing Harley's mom, or both of her parents, but more of her mom.
Isn't her dad dead now?
Now he's dead, yeah.
Okay.
Do I think Frankette is a stand-in for Lucy Quinn? I don't know. I have no idea.
I'm not even sure who
I'm
Lucy
not
Quinn
sure.
is. Explain to us who Lucy Quinn is. I'm not a DC Comics person. I'm a Marvel Comics person, not a DC Comics. Obviously, a relationship to Harley, obviously.
Yep. Oh, Lucy might be their kid in the comics? Is that right?
Well, Fandom Girls typing, so don't know.
Yeah, I haven't read the comics.
By the way, Kevin, I interrupted you. Were we done with your discussion? I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. No, it wasn't. It was a mini rant, and all I'm going to do is keep beating it if I talk about it. So probably best.
We all agree with you.
No, yeah. I totally agree, and I'm really worried because I'm hoping they're going to do Jessica Jones, but it sounds like they're going to do the Avengers, right? Isn't that what they're called when they do the team up with Luke Cage? And
no, not the Avengers. No.
Fist?
Defenders.
No,
Defenders.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They sound
Street level. The street level Avengers.
Yeah.
And The Defenders was the worst of the Marvel shows in my view,
Ooh.
and I'm worried about.
You sure?
I mean, maybe Iron Fist was.
I
There
don't
you
know.
go.
Iron
There you
Fist-
go.
Iron Fist was pretty
But
bad.
I did not want to. I was not chomping at the bit for more Defenders.
No.
And I'm a little bit concerned that we're going to have something equally slow and mopey, and they'll finally get together as a team in episode 6, and that just is not.
I'm
appealing.
really disappointed, Kevin. To go add into your rant, I'm just super disappointed. I thought for sure when Punisher was coming to Disney Plus and Marvel was having total control over it, and it wasn't Netflix input, I thought for sure they would make it Marvelized and make it a little faster paced, a little more, moving around, doing stuff. Instead, it's the exact same formula as Netflix, and I never liked that formula. That disappointed me.
Yeah, I mean, we've already gone here. What? When it was in its previous incarnation, you don't need to do this again.
Yeah, I mean, it was slow on Netflix, and it was called character building. But in this, we're on the net. We're not rebuilding. I mean, they're calling it reborn, but it's retread. I'm not happy about it.
I think the Reborn, everybody took it as they're rebirthing the franchise, but it's actually just an indication that the character that Matt Murdock has to rebirth Daredevil because he put him to sleep. He put him down, and now he has to bring him back. I think that's the only reason it has that name, sadly.
Yeah.
It is funny though that nobody recognizes him with that very distinctive beard and jawline. People point out that nobody recognizes Clark Kent in glasses either. Especially his girlfriend that he lives with doesn't. I mean, I know she was pretty much out of it, but I mean, she saw a little bit.
Yeah, has she ever really had a run-in with Daredevil?
This is the first because he just came back. Right, he wasn't around when they first met.
Right, so I don't think
get me started on a city as large as New York that she's the therapist for both the mayor and the serial killer.
and the girlfriend to the hero.
Therapist in New York.
I mean, I know you got to kind of have relations to keep the cast minimized, but that's just a bit much.
And where's Karen? I want Karen back. Dang it.
No kidding. Yes.
Yeah, that's the other piece that's really missing is the other characters around Matt. I'm not that interested in at this point. So also, Fandom Girl updated us that Lucy is Harley's kid. Baby daddy unknown, probably Joker, who she gave up to her sister in the comics. So that's who she is.
Yeah. I mean, she could exist in the animated universe, although
I don't. Yep. Go ahead.
I was going to say you would have thought that it might have come up at some point in 5 seasons, but I don't know.
So you mentioned Joker. I love the Joker in Harley Quinn, and actually, that was one very funny piece in the last couple episodes was his sort of bromance with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And trying to give him a pep talk. And the other thing that I was thinking of, though, is to me, Frankette was really Ivy's baby, much more so than Harley. And then Harley sort of actually practically took on a lot of the mothering because she was babysitting the shark kids, and she was then actually helping with the rescue of Frankette.
Oh, they're partners.
Well, yeah. But so who knows? Maybe there will be a Lucy in the future too.
All right. Do we have anything else to discuss? Are we going to open up the questions? Do you guys have anything for us? I mean,
yeah, feel free, folks. Open forum if you have a topic.
Young Avengers coming.
I think we're getting that. I mean, they set up so many of the Young Avengers already, and they're not listed in this new, Doctor Doom movie. So they're probably doing a Young Avengers, I would imagine. And they had that one scene, didn't they, at the end of one of the movies or something, where Kate Bishop came and recruited one of the others. I can't remember which one now. Oh my gosh, I got to turn in my Marvel card. But they did some groundwork for the Young Avengers. They've already done it in one of the post-credit or in-credit scenes.
Okay. So Nico asked, we got some stuff coming back in the next couple weeks. What's everyone excited about?
What is coming back? I got to go check Kevin's tuner calendar now. I don't remember.
Well, we've got
Doctor Who's coming back.
Sure.
Yep, Doctor Who.
Star Trek:
got,
Strange New Worlds in the summer, but not in the next.
Yeah, that's
couple
not
weeks.
too soon.
Yeah. I mean, Surreal
something
Estate started
else.
back up today. The Last of Us.
Yeah, that's the
The
other
Last
one.
of Us. That's a biggie.
Yep,
Andor.
Doctor Who and Andor. Yep.
For me, Doctor Who: Last of Us.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
for
probably.
all-
I mean,
all those.
I wasn't as huge of a fan of The Last of Us, but I did greatly enjoy it. So I'm curious where we're going to go here in season 2. I mean, that Bondsman trailer looks really good. I mean, that's
Not coming
Well,
back,
hopefully
but
it's
it
good.
looks like a good show.
yeah, we have
Yep.
to fill some time coming up. Doctor Who hopefully is going to be fun too. I kind of like that it's a Saturday drop. I don't know why. I just
Yep.
kind of do. For that, will be interesting to kind of see.
I can answer the question Barcroft has. I'll be the first to answer it, and you guys chime in as well. You want to know how we first got together to do TIST? Well, that's because we first got together to do the Scapecast, which was the Farscape podcast that we were all a part of. Kevin was one of the co-hosts. I was the editor, did some of the voices, did the intro, outro, just like I do with TIST. Wendy was a contributor, writer. You did some, recorded some articles as well. But then Kevin and Wendy, if I remember correctly, tell me if I'm wrong, Kevin and Wendy were going to get together to do a weekly show about genre television. And I think they had asked me, I think you guys asked me if something like editing or something like that. And I said, I'd love to participate in that. And that's how the three of us got together to do this. Do I remember that right, guys?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was what, 2008 when we kicked things off.
Something like that.
Just
I
add
believe,
a
yeah.
little bit more. So we were doing the Scapecast, and we stopped doing that. But Kevin and I were emailing each other about shows we were watching, and Kevin told me to watch Supernatural, which was in like season 3. And I got hooked on Supernatural, and I kept sending him emails about Supernatural. And originally we were going to do a Supernatural podcast, but we were like, no, these shows end, and then we won't have anything to talk about. and we were already in season 3, so we could have done a show about Supernatural and it would have run for 15 years. But
I know. God, how's that?
Didn't know it,
which
but
is
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
But it, the more we talked, we're like, well, let's, and also we were lazy because we were like, I don't want to really learn all the technical stuff about the podcast. So it's like, maybe we could get Brent to help us. And of course, he was generous enough to help us. And we also had learned from the first time around that we'd like the variety of just talking about what was the sort of the exciting thing, the thing that caught our attention that week. So that really contributed to the format too.
You guys still remember when we did this thing called The Last Call, which we don't do anymore?
Yeah.
That's because we had a limit, and it made sense at the time because our podcast is so old that people would occasionally burn the podcast to a CD and listen to it in their car. So we had to limit it to 60 minutes or so, or 70 minutes. That was kind of our limit. And anything else we wanted to talk about, we threw into another podcast called The Last Call. Now we don't care anymore because everybody's digital. So we just put it all in the same show.
God, yes.
Yeah.
74-minute limits, CDs. Yep.
And someday we will finish the rewatch of Community. We promise.
Where did we drop that? Do you
I
remember?
don't know. It's up there on the
I
website.
just ran into a show with Danny Pudi though on, it's either Prime or Hulu, and he's in the military. Dennis Leary is the lead, and he's a general. His daughter's one of the kids, also in the military. And I want to say they're in Iceland, or they're in some really remote place that he gets shipped off to. It's a
Could be
comedy.
Greenland. We do have military there.
It could be Greenland. I watched a
Oh,
couple
the Netherlands.
episodes
Okay.
of it. The Netherlands, thank you. It's not very funny, but it was nice to see Danny Pudi.
Yeah. Oh, and by
Just
the
catching up on some comments. Go ahead.
another piece of trivia about the show, about the backstory. This thing we do called the Tuner Minute. You guys know about that. We post it before we post the main show. We talk about it all the time, and you guys have a channel to talk about it, and people seem to enjoy it. We originally created that as a way to do a dynamic, well, two reasons. One, so we would have something to talk about every week if we didn't have anything else to talk about. But the second one was we wanted to create a promo for our show. We had some promos for other podcasts to play. That's kind of a thing that's faded. I don't know about Kevin, if you know or not, but we seem to be the only podcast that plays promos for other podcasts anymore, but at least that are amateur podcasts, not the ones on networks and stuff. But we did the Tuner Minute. If you notice at the end of that, it talks about how you can find the show, because it was meant to be a rotating dynamic promo that people could slap onto their podcast to promote our show. I don't think anybody ever did that, but we still do it that way.
True. Yeah, no, I don't have as much time, after the pandemic and going remote, not as much commute time for listening to other podcasts, but you're right. But there was a time everybody was playing other promos to promote each other for, like you said, the amateur side of it. And even the ones I still check out, they just eventually stopped doing that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
An
oddity, I guess. Yeah.
So, Kevin, there's a question for you in the chat from Fandom Girl. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. You can either have one more season of Buffy with the original cast, or another season of Winona with the original cast, including dolls, because screw that, death.
Which one do you pick, Kevin?
Care to take that one up?
I will have to do my best, Captain Kirk, and reprogram the Kobayashi Maru, because I'm not making a choice like that unless my answer is both.
A combined show. They get together. It's a crossover for a whole season.
Hey, Buffy Earpers was a podcast I was doing, talking about Buffy and working in Winona comments. For that reason, since there's so many parallels. Come on, that's, oh geez. That Winona still has a chance to happen, and we know Buffy is being, whatever the correct phrase is, reimagined, continued. I don't even know what it's being called, because it's not a reboot, right? What is it being? What is it? An extension? What's the phrase they're using? Do you know?
I don't remember.
I don't know what they're calling it, but it's a continuation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a continuation, so technically
spin-off.
Yeah, maybe.
Kenzie. I'll answer that one.
Waverly or Kenzie? Man, but that's also two actresses are two of the biggest sweethearts that I've had some of the best convention experiences with, is both Dom and Ksenia.
I'm just thinking from the characters.
The character, Kenzie. Probably Kenzie. I mean, because Kenzie was is still one of my all-time favorite characters in genre TV, period. I know a lot of people, since I talk about her so much, I know a lot of people get turned off because, let's face it, Kenzie's in your face and never shuts up. But that's kind of why I very much love her as a character. And no disrespect to Waverly, but yeah, Kenzie is certainly a huge part of things. And I'm so disappointed we don't get to see Ksenia in things anymore. She really hasn't been in anything since that.
She was in Project Blue Book.
Right? Yeah, Blue Book. I was going to say the UFO show. That was the last time we kind of had her in anything in genre.
Yeah.
And I follow her on social media. She's not posting much. She's done like maybe 1 or 2 movies, both of which are not released. So,
is she going the family route? Did she get married, have kids? Is she doing that thing?
I don't. Not.
I mean, a lot of especially
Yeah.
female actors will take that break, at some point in their life and just don't work for a while.
She's often posted from Europe and other places, so I think she's hopefully living her best life, but certainly hasn't involved a lot of TV or movie acting for that part.
Before we go on, I just have to welcome Denise. Don't worry. Apology accepted. You don't have to worry about being late. We had a great discussion of Star Trek, of the new Bounty Hunter show with Kevin Bacon, and also how we were disappointed with Daredevil. And then we talked a bit about, you can see in the chat, the other stuff we talked about if you scroll up. So No worries. I am recording this one and do plan on putting it up on the YouTube if I can get it edited properly. So you can catch up there.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, and I agree, Phantom Girl, Anna Silk, having seen her at multiple conventions, she's one of those folks, when you start talking to her, you can tell she's totally engaged with what you're talking about. No disrespect to some other celebrities or such, that you can kind of tell they're tuning you out. But
it's a human thing. It's really hard as a human being. I find it really difficult when I'm talking to somebody one-on-one. Sometimes my mind will wander. It's not a sign of disrespect, I don't think. It's just the way I'm built. I can't focus that much on one person consistently, but I am very impressed by people who can do that. And there are a lot of well-known and very popular celebrities who make people think that, and that's because I think they're genuine. They're really paying attention to what they're saying.
Yeah, and I don't know, I might have shared it on a black badge, but if not, you'll probably appreciate hearing at one of the ERP conventions, the first one that Anna was a guest at. I was moderating a couple of the full cast panels, and I was backstage. Bonnie and I were a little early as the moderator. You want to be there early. And for one of them, Anna got there first. She was the first guest who kind of popped backstage. I had met her earlier in the con, and we just started talking a little bit. And she naturally, as a mom, couldn't stop talking about her kids. It was around Halloween. She had video and photos of them in their outfits. She was showing Bonnie and I, talking about, how you pump up your kids when they think they're the greatest ever in their college. And she was beaming just like a mom would. And it was another example. She was just so genuine and couldn't stop talking about them. And it was just wonderful. She felt comfortable enough to share that. So yeah, such great experiences with someone like that. Just wonderful.
And Phantom Girl, I'm not wearing him down. He's been on video before. Check out my YouTube channel. We've done a lot of FaceTime stuff.
If you pay for the DragonCon virtual membership, you can see me on some of the big major panels there last year.
Kevin moderates a lot of big panels.
Yeah, with the Hobbits. That one's up there if you want to see. That was kind of fun talking with them. They were all great guys too, by the way, backstage. I think I mentioned on our podcast maybe that Elijah Wood he was so excited with all the cosplay he saw at his autograph table. He was showing the other guys and me and anybody else who'd look all the cool photos he had of cosplayers from DragonCon. So cool. Yeah, he's a very cool guy.
Yeah.
Yes, animation is in a different place for sure for me.
Yeah, he's getting older.
Yep, he will watch Harley Quinn eventually.
Yes, I will eventually. I will.
Kids have grown, left home. He's looking for things to interest him now. Animation's finally broken through.
Anything else?
Yeah, any other questions? Otherwise, we can wrap this thing up.
Yep.
Yeah, we try to keep these about an hour, have some fun. We definitely need to we have talked for everybody's awareness here and anyone on the recording that we're going to try to do a better job of announcing these things further in advance, so there's a better shot that more folks might be able to tune in live when we do them. We've been kind of haphazard and shooting from the hip, so it's been fun, but we'll try to do a little better.
I'll say this about Wheel of Time, Denise. I still haven't watched this season yet. Just because every time we talk about scheduling, and they say, our group gets together and says, can we record this week? Do we have enough and all that, or do we have conflicts and things? I'm waiting for a time when I know I have to record a podcast to go watch Wheel of Time. So I can't give you any thoughts.
For me, I do not think it's dragging at all. They are hitting it this year. But again, I'm also someone who goes deep on the fandom there to understand some of the stuff from the books and what they're bringing to life. So I think that's a different appreciation. If you're TV only, some of the recent stuff in the episodes is much deeper for the book folks, but not quite as actiony, so to speak. But for me, especially with the performances, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, for me, I did not read the books. Don't plan to. I've been loving this season, partially because I do like the characters, and I like that everyone's got some character development. And normally I don't like when the Scooby Gang is all kind of off in their own activities, but every one of the stories has been really interesting to me. The whole Nynaeve off with I'll call her the princess because I can never remember her name. Their storyline, the one that went back to the Two Rivers with the other Aes Sedai, and them, kind of going back, and the people that they found in the desert. The only character I really don't like, and it's going to be controversial because I know some people really like Rand, but I find Rand a really boring character. But I've really liked the Moraine stuff. The whole thing when they went onto that trippy desert thing to, see their lives over and over again, I thought was done really well. I think this season they've really kind of leaned into the weird magic a lot, which I like. Egwene's whole thing with, is it Lanfear? Is it the woman she thought she killed? Conflating all that in her dreams has been really interesting. And even the stuff with the Amyrlin, I mean, that was like crazy. The opening episode was like literally blow up the world. And I like all the fallout that's happened from it. The Amyrlin and trying to figure out who are still the Black Aja has been really interesting. The introduction of the new Red Aja, and it's like, what's her game going to turn out to be? That all has been really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking forward to talking about it on the podcast a bit because, that's some great stuff. As you said, early on when they had to split up the Scooby Gang, because again, large cast and all, it was a little difficult. Now that we're kind of rolling with the story, they each have their mission. They each have what they're trying to do, and they're a little more developed. Even the small little chunks with those smaller groups now is, for me, much more interesting. And some of the decisions they're having to make.
I want to say it was maybe the second or the third episode, the one where they were like, before they broke up and went off on their own little quests. That episode was like a lot of talking and not much going on. But other than that, I've actually really enjoyed this season a lot. And it looks like a couple people, Denise and Chris, both think Rand is kind of boring.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Kudos and thanks to those of you that have been in the audience and thrown out questions. I mean, this one makes this a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you, Barcroft, and all of you for being here.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, very much. A lot of fun.
So we'll have another podcast coming soon, probably before we do another live. So look forward to that.
Yep.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Appreciate it.
Yep.